Okay. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to your favorite film podcast, The Average Film Enjoyer. I'm going to take these off because you can see the reflection. I am one of your average film enjoyers, Trey, the film noob. And unfortunately, Jagger could not join me today because of other plans, but I am joined today by my good friend, Evan. Evan, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. So usually what we do is I would ask like Letterboxd top 4, but since it's the holidays, what is your top 4 Christmas movies? And I think you said those are your Letterboxd top 4.
Yeah, right now they are. So one of them is pure recency bias because I watched The Holdovers twice in like 3 days and I loved it.
Yeah.
So right now it's not, I mean, it's probably sitting in my like top 10 favorite Christmas movies. I really loved it. So that's sitting there. And then I've got Die Hard, just a classic. I remember the first time I saw it, my mom was off, with her friends for a weekend, and my dad picked me and my brother up. He's like, we're watching Die Hard. And I was like 10 years old, maybe. It was core memory for me. I love Die Hard.
Yeah.
It's just a classic. I love all the Die Hard movies except, Die Hard 5. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then I've got A Christmas Story. That's a classic.
Okay.
That's my Christmas Day tradition. I've seen it every single year, probably since I've been born. I don't know. I don't remember back that far, but that's, we do stockings and A Christmas Story on the TV in the background. Absolute classic. It hasn't aged particularly well, but it's still a banger. Still love it. And then Elf, just a classic. Feel good. It's hilarious. It's changed. When I was a kid, it's like, have you seen these toilets? They're ginormous. Maybe the hardest I've ever laughed at like 10 years old, but then now it just hits in a different way, but it's still a classic and I still love it. So and then like I do love Christmas movies. Me and my girlfriend, we just binge through like all the Netflix Christmas movies, even the really shitty ones, like no matter what.
Gosh.
We watched all of the Christmas Princes. We watched Christmas Switch. We watched last night we watched Christmas Wedding Planner. Horrific movie, but we just get into that rhythm of really bad Christmas movies and just embrace it. Yeah. How about you? What are your top 4?
I mean, it's really hard for me. I feel like it changes every year.
Right.
A guilty pleasure of mine and of my family's is Daddy's Home 2.
Oh,
it's so ridiculously funny. I really like that one. Christmas with the Cranks is a classic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Any Christmas movie with Tim Allen, I feel like you can't go wrong. Any of the Santa Claus movies. I don't know. Die Hard, of course. Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon's a classic. Oh, I just watched Eyes Wide Shut for the first time this year.
It's amazing.
And it's comfortably sitting at my number 1 Kubrick. And I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey in theaters this year. And
that was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was in a pretty run down, like old retro theater. So, I mean, the screen quality wasn't greatest, but it was a really cool experience to see that on the big screen. But Eyes Wide Shut just blew me away. And just, there's so much intrigue behind it. And the mood is it's just so eerie and intense the whole way through. It's a long movie, but like the pacing's really great. I'm a big fan. Yeah, I want to watch it again. I've been trying to go through Kubrick's movies because I didn't have a few of them logged.
Yeah, which ones are you still haven't seen? Do you have any big ones?
Yeah, let me pull it up. I watched Full Metal Jacket for the first time last month.
That's a great. That's like number 2 or 3 for me.
Which I really liked. I liked it a lot. I thought the first half was exceptional. And then I found the first part of the Vietnam section dipped a little in quality. And then the moment they hit that like holdout with the sniper at the like last half hour, 30 minutes, whatever, really, really, really good. That was incredible. And the visuals, once it hits nighttime, was just out of this world. Loved it. So I gave that a 5. I was debating between a 5 and a 4.5, but I really loved it. Barry Lyndon, I watched. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Full Metal Jacket is an interesting one because it just feels like two different movies.
It
like
really does.
It's like two very different vibes. But yeah, it's easily my favorite war film. And Vincent D'Onofrio is so unbelievably terrifying as Private Pyle. It's so good.
It's unfortunate because, like, you know, I was like 16 maybe, and I would see the bathroom scene, the fabled bathroom scene on like YouTube or whatever on like a Watch Mojo list, so I knew that was coming, but it still didn't really dampen my like love for the film. The pacing in that first half is insane. Like, it blows by, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, he has like Vincent D'Onofrio just switches at that one point, and it's just so terrifying to see, you know, like the look in his eyes. He portrays so much emotion in his face. It's crazy. He's so good. And then I watched Paths of Glory for the first time this year. I loved it. It was really good.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I think it's either coming up. We're reviewing it on the pod this Friday or next Friday. I can't totally remember.
It's really good. I don't watch war movies a lot, but I do really enjoy them. So that one was great, and it's like 90 minutes. It's really fast paced. It's great script. It's tense and it's sad, and it's just really, really good. I've seen Clockwork Orange. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I saw it. I liked it a lot. I need to rewatch it before I give it a definitive score. I haven't seen like Lolita, Fear and Desire, Spartacus. I still haven't seen. Doctor Strangelove. I watched it in poli-sci in university. Great movie.
I watched that in my American. I had this class my senior year of high school, American history through film. And we watched Doctor Strangelove, and underrated. I think it's his most underappreciated.
I do too.
It's so funny.
It's hysterical, and it has like one of my favorite endings of all time. It's a classic. The killing I need to get to because I love heist movies, and I know it's like a heist on a train.
Yeah, that's.
Have you seen that one?
No, that's what I'm going to be watching this week. The ones I haven't seen, I haven't gotten around to Clockwork Orange yet.
Oh.
And then a lot of his early stuff. So like Spartacus, Lolita, The Killing. I haven't gotten around to. But besides the Clockwork Orange, I've seen all the big ones.
You've seen Barry Lyndon?
Oh, except Barry Lyndon. Barry Lyndon is another blind spot. Yeah.
Yeah, Barry Lyndon's interesting. A lot of the, my brother, he was big into like acting in high school and stuff, and he was like, we watched Barry Lyndon at school. It's this 3-hour period piece, and it's super boring, but it's still pretty good. And I watched it for the first time through the Discord because everyone, Seth and all them, they love Barry Lyndon, and I'm kind of hit or miss on period pieces. Some of them I love, some of them I don't. Like Little Women, even I'm not a huge fan of it. Like I have it at like a 3.5, surprisingly, just because it might have been my mood. But I loved Barry Lyndon. The first half is amazing, like absolutely amazing, and it's also one of those movies where it's kind of feels like two different pieces. But it's still really, really good. So I was surprised with that, and like the 3-hour runtime it goes by quick. He's just a master, Kubrick.
Oh, he was like a certified genius because I think he had like a 200 level IQ.
Oh, really?
And he was just like he's unbelievable.
Yeah, and then The Shining, like, what can you say that hasn't already been said? It's just a
that's my number 2 of all time. It's so damn.
It's perfect. I've yet to see The Shining in theaters, but I remember I went to go see Dr. Sleep with my dad, and the opening of Dr. Sleep is just the Shining theme, and we were like shaking in our seats. We're like, holy shit, like I'm dying to see The Shining in theaters. It's just so good.
A couple weeks ago there was a theater downtown where I live that was playing. They were doing a double feature, and they're kind of one of those more artsy theaters, so they do like they're not just like we're playing this Marvel movie or whatever, but they did a double feature that night where they played the documentary Room 237 which was real shit, by the way.
I've heard it's bad, yeah.
It's so bad. I think McGuigan has it at a star. It's a bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about. But then after they played, so certain theaters will do this where they play The Shining forwards and backwards at the same time. So what they will layer the images on top of each other. And there's some images that match up in a really weird way.
Yeah.
It was like the trippiest thing I've ever seen, but it was super cool.
It's so funny because there's so many people who have these crazy conspiracy theories about like just all of Stanley Kubrick in general, The Shining, especially Eyes Wide Shut. Like,
yeah,
there's that whole conspiracy theory about like the 20 minutes that was cut from Eyes Wide Shut, and then they say he got murdered, but like he's such an interesting director that maybe he did put these things into his movie, maybe he didn't. I do kind of want to watch Room 237 just to see some of those conspiracy theories and stuff, because I feel
it definitely has some stuff that is plausible, and some of the people make points that you're like, oh, I could see that, but most of it is bullshit.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, do you want to get into some movie news? There's been a lot this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, let's start with the worst. Jonathan Majors convicted and found guilty on third-degree assault and harassment. So fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
He's the worst. Marvel dropped him, thank goodness. And what I wanted to ask you about, what would you like to see them do with? Obviously, would you like to see them recast? Would you like to see them just go in a whole different direction? And I'm wondering for you, what would you like to see?
Yeah, so I used to be a massive Marvel fan. It fell off massively after Endgame, especially because of COVID. Like, not seeing Marvel movies in the theaters really dampened the experience, and and they were just punching TV show after TV show, and WandaVision was cool until the end when it was very blah. So I'm not as hot on Marvel as I used to be. I would like to see them scrap. I haven't seen Loki season 2 yet, but I know that a lot of people say it's kind of like that reset or an out to a reset that you could get. I think Kang Dynasty, I don't know about a recast. I saw it today on Twitter, actually, because a lot of people are saying John Boyega would be really good for him.
Yeah,
and I saw that he responded to a tweet, and he was like, I don't know, maybe not. So I think that recasting would be pretty messy and would maybe lead to Marvel writing in something to explain the recasting, which I think would be even messier,
Oh, 100%.
So I think maybe just diving straight into Secret Wars, like rewriting Avengers 5 to be a lead up into Secret Wars that doesn't use Kang, and they, set up Doctor Doom, or they set up something grand. It's interesting because, like, with Endgame kind of phasing out the core Avengers, they're still trying to like almost convince us of these new characters. And like with the young Avengers, and they have just the TV shows are in this weird place where they're desperately trying to move the MCU forward, but they're I don't want to say failing, because I haven't seen a few of the recent ones. I watched Hawkeye, and I watched Winter Soldier, watched WandaVision, and Moon Knight. I actually really like Moon Knight, but
Moon Knight is easily the best one.
Yeah.
That was so good.
I see a lot of people critique Moon Knight, and I don't really know why, but I think that my favorite point in the MCU is those solo stories that aren't as connected. And that's why I love Guardians 3 so much, and even Shang-Chi. I'm super high on Shang-Chi compared to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to see them do a, like, not necessarily a pure setup movie, but kind of just start fresh, not fully fresh, but go straight into the Secret Wars story, because this Kang scenario is just really messy right now, and the MCU is full of mess. What do you think about it?
I mean, I totally agree with you. I held on a little bit longer.
Right.
I enjoyed a lot of the TV shows. I enjoyed a lot of the characters. A lot of the characters weren't delivered in the best way,
Yeah.
but I enjoyed the characters themselves. Like you said, Moon Knight, I thought was I mean, that was just an overall great TV show. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I didn't think it was a terrible show, but I love those characters. WandaVision was solid. I think Miss Marvel, I don't think the show is very good, but I do think Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel was excellent.
One of the weird things about She-Hulk, sorry for cutting you off, She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, those two characters are awesome, and the pilots for both of those shows, like the very early parts of those shows, I think are awesome. They're really fun setting it up, and then when you kind of get into the nitty-gritty and like She-Hulk's trying to shoe in Daredevil, and that's when it gets really convoluted and messy.
Yeah. And even Hawkeye, I didn't think Hawkeye was terrible either. The tracksuit mafia is some of the hardest I've laughed during the MCU. But there was just the way they delivered it wasn't my favorite. Especially there's one scene that always comes to mind. It's in She-Hulk, and it's when Hulk or Bruce and I think her name is Jennifer, the character, are talking about like rage and having to control your rage, and having to control your emotions. And she talks about how like you don't know what it's like to have to control your emotions. And like I totally get where they were coming from, because that's a totally true thing. About women in our society, how they aren't taken as seriously, and how our society just isn't like we live in a very sexist society. And I get where they were coming from trying to make that statement, but I wish they would have done it in a different way, because she made the statement to a guy who's been labeled a weapon of mass destruction for the past like 30 years and has been hunted down like an animal by every government of the world. And I was like, duh, okay. But I like appreciated the message they were trying to get across. But with this Kang stuff, what I would like to see, just scrap Kang, and as your big bad, Doctor Doom. We've had so many chances to bring in Doctor Doom, who is easily one of the coolest villains in the comics.
Absolutely.
And then that gives you room to bring in the Fantastic Four. That gives you some excuses to bring in the X-Men. I mean, so many characters come along with him that I would just love to see him.
And it's a perfect setup for Secret Wars, Like
exactly.
It's kind of tough with the Fantastic Four movie, especially because there's a lot riding on it, especially if they're going to do Doctor Doom as the forefront for the rest of the, the future of the MCU. Because everyone is going to critique the Fantastic Four no matter what. People aren't going to be happy with it. People will be happy with it. The casting choices are already like crazy, people just going nuts over who's going to be the Fantastic Four, and Fan Four Stick is just a dumpster fire of a movie.
Oh, it's real. But the Fantastic Four has never done a good movie. Like they've never been done justice.
The original two, I remember seeing them in theaters when I was a kid, and I thought they were fun. I have not rewatched them, and I probably won't.
They're pretty mediocre.
So I'm really curious to see what happens with the Fantastic Four movie, because I feel like that kind of is one of the big tests for the future of the MCU. And then like the X-Men, like you said, that is crazy. The X-Men has had a lot of amazing movies, and some bad ones too, like Final Stand, X-Men 3, whatever it's called, and Last Stand, and X-Men Origins are pretty bad. But then you have the new trilogy, which is for the most part good. I literally just forgot Dark Phoenix existed.
That was rough.
I haven't even seen it.
X-Men Apocalypse was like okay.
Yeah.
But the first two, X-Men First Class, bangs.
Bang.
X-Men Days of Future Past, debatably the best X-Men movie.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's an absolute monument of a comic book movie. It's so fucking good.
Yeah. But yeah, I just hope they bring in Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
But let's see what else we got here. Oh, I saw this today. Alan Ritchson, so the guy who is in the Reacher show, I think it's a Prime original.
Yeah.
He said he would like to play Batman, which
I saw that.
I don't think is a terrible idea. I mean, he is like massive.
Yeah.
Like just a Hulk of a man, but I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be for sure. And like, I think we have our, diehard comic book fan Batman with Robert Pattinson. So
yeah,
maybe James Gunn brings in a more, friendly to the more, casual moviegoer Batman. And maybe this guy is the perfect point. Like, I see everywhere Reacher season 2, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the perfect dad show. Like, this guy
sure it is.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I could see like, this kind of actor who nails that, classic dad action movie, action show role being a good Batman.
Yeah, I mean, my number one vote is still going to go to Jensen Ackles, especially if James Gunn is going for younger actors. He's going for younger characters, which we've already seen with his casting of Superman and Lois Lane and Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult, which I'm very excited for.
So happy after he took multiple L's.
Yeah. So Jensen Ackles, I think, could be an interesting Batman. I think he has that kind of brooding. I mean, you see it a little bit in The Boys, just like the brooding, angry vibe. So I don't know. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I think I'm all into anything James Gunn has his hands on.
Oh, absolutely.
He's just like best comic book movie director working today. He really doesn't miss. All of his movies are at least a 4-star.
Absolutely.
He's just so talented.
Yeah, you kind of just like have that inherent trust with him that you'll see Twitter popping off about this and that, but James Gunn has it in his bag. Like, he is there, and he's just, he's a reliable guy when it comes to comic book movies.
Yeah, it's great. Even like DC, we've seen him in the DC doing the second Suicide Squad movie, and it's excellent. It's so much better than the first one. So I'm just happy that he is heading that up. And we are officially, I believe it's a prequel, getting a prequel to Ocean's 11.
I saw that.
And who is cast to be in it?
It's Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I just saw that today. So
I can't remember the name of it.
Let me look it up. But I'm very excited for that because all three of those Ocean's movies are bangers.
Yes.
And I think Margot, seen Barbie, I think this could be excellent.
Yeah, for sure. And like the set that they've put it out, it's on a boat. It's set in Monaco, I believe,
Yeah.
It's going to be that super rich people vibe. It's going to be, full of life. And they already have that chemistry, so you don't need to worry about that. And the Ocean's movies are all about that chemistry between the team.
Yeah. And it sounds like Steven Soderbergh will be directing it.
Which makes me super happy. I love him.
That's like his sweet spot is heist movies. I don't know if you've seen what's that one he did with
Logan Lucky?
Logan Lucky is great. Out of Sight. It's another heist one he did with George Clooney.
No, I haven't seen that. Is it good?
Oh my God, it's excellent. You got George Clooney. You got Jennifer Lopez, who I never thought I would enjoy in a movie. You have Ving Rhames, Don Cheadle, Steve Zahn, Catherine Keener, Albert Brooks is in it, Luis Guzman, Viola Davis. Just a super stat cast, and it's an absolute blast. It's fun.
I love him. You know, I saw the Ocean's movies when I was young, and I clicked with them. I've always loved heist movies. Mm-hmm. You know, my dad showed me Guy Ritchie when I was really young, and I fucking love Guy Ritchie. I will defend Snatch. I'll defend Lock, Stock. I'll defend even the King Arthur movie. Like, I just love Guy Ritchie. His movies are so much fun. Then I watched, Logan Lucky in theaters. I saw it in theaters like 3 times, I think. I love that movie. It is so excellent, and Daniel Craig is just hilarious in that movie. And then, Side Effects, I've seen it twice now. I think it's an amazing thriller. It's really tense, super, super cool, really well acted. Have you seen Unseen?
Is that Guy Ritchie?
No, it's Steven Soderbergh. It's
okay. No, I haven't seen that one.
It's about this girl, and she gets like involuntarily committed into a mental hospital while she's trying to avoid a stalker. The entire movie is shot on an iPhone. It is crazy. I think you'd really like it. It's super tense, very, very uncomfortable, really great.
An underrated Guy Ritchie for me, just before we get into our reviews.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Gentleman. When I was in rehab back in January, and this was like when I was getting into film, I watched this one, and it was my first experience with Guy Ritchie, and my gosh,
really?
it was. I just had a blast with it. It's so Matthew McConaughey is excellent. Colin Farrell is always a delight in anything he's in.
Absolutely.
I mean, talk about range. He can do anything.
He really does. I'll touch on Killing of the Sacred Deer later, but
yeah, for sure.
Colin Farrell really has great range.
You look like he went from Killing of the Sacred Deer. You also have him playing the Penguin, and then you have Horrible Bosses.
Yeah, he's so hysterical in that movie.
He's like, all right, first deal around here. We need to trim the fat. He's like, well, what? And Jason Sudeikis is like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, I mean, we need to fire all the fat people. It's so funny, dude.
There's that incredible shot of him when Jason Sudeikis is walking later after he fires I can't remember his name, but the paralyzed guy, and he's just got this lady on his lap, and he's making out with her while he's holding the handicap sign. Hysterical. Like, it's so funny. I love Horrible Bosses.
Oh, it's so underrated.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into our movie reviews today. So if you've seen these, you can comment. If you haven't, you don't have to. So for all of our listeners out there, I know we didn't come out with an episode on Friday. I would very much apologize. We had Jagger's birthday this weekend. We had a lot going on. We recorded with Brett this weekend. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go check it out. Brett Petersell, we interviewed him. He's the editor and curator and writer of the 8 Horrorville HQ at Letterboxd. So he works for Letterboxd. And we interviewed him, and that was excellent. But on Friday, we were supposed to do our first 2 movies of the Kubrick. We were going through Stanley Kubrick's filmography. So I'm just going to run through both of those quickly for you guys today. First one, we have Fear and Desire. Fear and Desire was Kubrick's first feature-length film. It is a war film. It's just about an hour. That's the nice thing about these. I love 50s movies because they're all just around an hour. After their airplane crashes behind enemy lines, four soldiers must survive and try to find a way back to their battalion. However, when they come across a local peasant girl, the horrors of war quickly become apparent. This one is fine. I mean, it's not great by any means, but I mean, you definitely see glimpses here of the director that Kubrick will one day become. It's definitely like that. You see both of these in both of these films, this and Killer's Kiss. where you see like certain shots or certain way things happen that you're like, oh yeah, this will definitely, like, this is definitely a Kubrick movie. But Fear and Desire is fine. I would really only recommend watching it if you want to watch all of Kubrick's movies. But other than that, there's no really reason to ever watch it. It doesn't really do anything. I mean, it may do something for you, but for me and apparently a lot of people, it didn't do much. But if you guys want to check that out, that is streaming on Prime currently. And then our second one, Killer's Kiss. This was released in 1955. This is a thriller, crime, drama, kind of one of those noir crime dramas from the 50s. The film revolves around Davy Gordon, a 29-year-old welterweight New York boxer in the end of his career, and his relationship with a dancer and her violent employer. This one I definitely enjoyed more than Fear and Desire. I give it 3 stars. It's still just fine. But it definitely was more engaging. Comes in at about an hour and 8 minutes. Again, it's okay. It's you still see the director he will soon be, but it's nothing impressive. It's nothing I haven't seen before, especially from this era. Nothing too original, nothing to add. There was a few shots in here that I did really enjoy, certain mirror shots and such, but that's about it. If you want to watch this, I mean, I'd recommend it. It's a nice it's 68 minutes, nice little 50s noir film. It's free to watch on YouTube right now. You just have to watch it with ads. So if you don't mind watching it with ads, you can watch it on YouTube. It's also available to rent, Apple TV, YouTube. But yeah, those are the first 2 Kubricks. This Friday, me and Jagger, we will be reviewing, let me remember which ones. Let's see. So Killer's Kiss, Fear and Desire. This Friday, we will be reviewing The Killing, which if you want to watch that before we do, that is streaming on Freevee. And then we will be reviewing his 1957 war flick, Paths of Glory, which is the first one of what seems to be like all of his peak cinema movies. So, and Killing looks pretty good too. So looking forward to both of those. We'll be reviewing that on Friday. But yeah, Evan, I think you said you have seen Rush as well.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my dad, because he's a huge Formula One fan, so he was like, "We're going," and I had no clue what the story was. I didn't know who Niki Lauda was. I loved it. I don't remember a lot about it because I saw it once in theaters and once when it, was out.
Yeah,
I really enjoy these movies about, racing. Like Ford versus Ferrari is awesome. They're dad movies. You kind of know what you're getting into when you go to see them. I mean, Rush is a little different because Niki Lauda's story is, I mean, it's tragic, but also pretty cool, and it's not. It's pretty by the book, but it's still really well acted. I mean, Chris Hemsworth he's great in those dramatic roles when he can be. Like, he proves it in this. And Daniel Bruhl, he is amazing in this movie. Like, he's really, really talented actor, and
he's so good.
I mean, a lot of people just know him from MCU, but like he's really cool. It's Ron Howard, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So
who directs it?
So you get good directing. The sound design is amazing. Like, seeing those movies, I would recommend any type of racing movie, see it in the theaters, because those engines, they hit different in the theaters. So yeah, I really liked it. It's probably like a 4-star. I haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah, I really like it.
Yeah. I enjoyed it as well. You mentioned Ford versus Ferrari, which there's a lot of parallels here to not the story because it's 2 different stories, but just as far as production and how the movie goes, and they're just very similar movies.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of comparisons in reviews of comparing this to Ford v Ferrari. And for me, I'd personally say Ford v Ferrari beats this out for me. But I have Ford versus Ferrari at 5 stars. I think that's
I probably have it at like a 4.5. It's amazing.
It's so good. But not to say this was also super solid. I think I'll give it. I haven't rated it yet. I'm feeling a 3.5. Daniel Bruhl was excellent. I love him so much. Not only as Baron Zemo, as you mentioned, who is my favorite villain in the MCU. I want everything to be centered around him. But he's also excellent in Inglourious Bastards, Burnt, The Cloverfield Paradox.
I really need to see Burnt.
Oh, it's super solid. I love cooking movies.
That's what I was just about to say. I love cooking movies.
So if you like cooking movies, you'll like Burnt. I enjoy it quite a bit. But yeah, I think this is solid. I think we get the racing scenes are excellent. The sound design is excellent. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing when it comes to these racing movies is you got to make sure your sound design and how it sounds when you're in the race. You got to make sure that's top tier. I think outside of Daniel Bruhl and Chris Hemsworth, though, I didn't see any performances that like really blew me away. I thought everybody was pretty solid, but nothing more than that. Something we like to do with our IMDb movies, because this is our IMDb, I believe it's number 221. But Evan, something we like to do is we will talk about, we have 4 questions that we do for every single movie.
Okay.
First question is, what is the most rewatchable scene here for you?
Mm-hmm.
Or sequence?
Yeah. It's tough because I haven't seen it in a long time. So
yeah.
You go ahead.
I'll see. I mean, the final race, where Niki Lauda kind of dips out of the final race, and Chris Hemsworth wins the championship. I think is excellent. I think it's dramatic. I think it's scored really well. The next one, if you want to answer, you can, but you don't have to. We do who won this movie. So if this movie were to only win one award, what would it win the award for? I think sound design.
Oh,
I think the
absolutely.
sound design is excellent.
Like Daniel Bruhl is incredible. I'd have to see what other stuff was nominated that year, but the sound design for sure.
Yeah. I mean, again, you really can't go wrong with racing movies and their sound design. And then third question, do you think this belongs on the IMDb top 250?
You know, I was surprised when you said it was on the top 250. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But I probably pull up like what else is on there. It's a great movie. Like, I don't know if it's essential viewing, especially for the IMDb top 250, but I do really like it and think it is a fun movie. And, you know, it would be great for a weekend watch to toss on. But yeah, I was definitely surprised when you said top 250.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot on here that we've reviewed that are kind of like, why is this on here? Or why isn't this higher up?
Right.
Like 400 Blows. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's sitting comfortably at 246.
Really?
Which kind of blows my mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have the 400 Blows at a 4.5. I do really love it. Lahane is 226. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through it now. That's
I mean,
crazy.
there's some wild stuff on here, and there's some stuff that definitely doesn't belong on here.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I don't know.
Oh my god, Persona
How to
is
Train
250.
Your Dragon, excellent. It's an excellent animated feature. It doesn't belong on here.
like just looking at what you've seen and down, I cannot believe Persona is 250. I'm a huge Ingmar Bergman fan.
Yeah.
So I might be a little
then
biased. That movie is amazing.
Don't go listen to our episode where we review it.
Oh, really?
Neither of us are huge Bergman guys, so we did not enjoy it.
Gotcha.
But also a lot of my rating goes off based how much, not how good I think the movie is, but how much I enjoy it.
Right.
And that one I was pretty bored.
It's not
honestly.
my favorite Bergman, but I get it. I'm looking at this is a little off topic, but I'm really curious because it's Before Sunset is at 219. So I'm curious about your opinions on the Before trilogy.
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna have to go watch Before. What is Before Sunset is the second one?
That's
correct?
The second one, yeah.
Okay, because we're reviewing Before Sunset next Tuesday, so I'm gonna have to watch Before Sunrise this weekend and then Before Sunset. But it's just something it's one of my blind spots. I have a lot of blind spots, so that's.
I'm not gonna lie. If you need someone to juice up Before Sunset, bring me back, because Before Sunset has my favorite movie ending of all time.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you know.
I love the Before trilogy.
Yeah, I've heard
that's great. That's cool.
From so many people. Yeah. But yeah, Rush for 21 in the 221 in the IMDb 250. Go check it out. It's an amazing film. Go watch it with your dad.
Absolutely.
It's just a
he'll convince you it's better than it actually is.
That's exactly true. So to finish our episode, Evan, we usually do just talk about some stuff we've been watching recently.
Yeah.
So what's some stuff I know you've been watching some Peak recently. So
yeah, my December has been insanely stacked. My December has been insanely stacked. So
yeah,
I'll just kind of glaze over a few. My brother is a big physical collector person. So I stopped by his house and I borrowed his Harakiri Criterion. So I watched that for the first time. Incredible film.
That's who directed that one? Is that Akira Kurosawa?
It is Makaski Kobayashi. But the reason I wanted to watch it because it's the #1 movie on Letterboxd. It's the highest rated movie on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
So really, really good. I watched The Holdovers. Amazing movie, especially for December. It's really funny. It's heartfelt. It's got some great mental health dialogue. It's just really good. I watched Dazed and Confused because a lot of people were watching that, and I liked it. I'm not huge on hangout movies. I find they can be a little shallow just because you don't get that same emotional component to them, but it was fun.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and then I checked off Some Like It Hot, Billy Wilder. It's fucking hilarious. It is a classic. I love that movie. Really, really great.
Yeah, Wilder's great.
And then, Full Metal Jacket, I ticked off. Really love that. I watched After Sun again, which is just a monumental film. It is so powerful and impactful. It's full of amazing dialogue, and the two leads are just out of this world. Like, Paul Mescal is just incredible in it. I rewatched my favorite Bergman, Through a Glass Darkly, which it's just incredible. It's about a girl. Yeah, so it's about a woman who has schizophrenia, and it's really interesting to see Bergman tackle mental health in the 60s when that wasn't something that was super commonly talked about. It's really, really interesting. I love that movie. I watched Maestro.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No, not yet. I'm waiting for it to drop on Netflix.
Right. Yeah, I think it comes out this week or next week.
Yeah.
It's good. I don't love it. I find that the first act is kind of the same as Napoleon, where it's pretty rushed through his life. It's almost that like Wikipedia speed run.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of a hard time with that. Have you seen Saltburn?
Not yet. No, I'm really behind on my 2023 releases.
Saltburn's coming out on Prime on Wednesday or
yeah.
oh no, Friday.
Most
Friday.
of it, I'm just waiting for it to come out on streaming.
Right. Yeah, Saltburn's great. I'm not a huge fan of Promising Young Woman. I'm not sure how you feel about it, if you've seen it.
That one I haven't gotten around to yet, but
oh really? Emerald
it's
Fennell.
one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. One thing I'm curious about is James Cameron for you. Are you a James Cameron fan?
I don't think I've watched enough to make a decision on him as a director. I can tell you, I love Terminator.
Yeah.
Classic.
Terminator's awesome.
I hate Avatar.
Oh yeah?
I can't stand. It's like I don't know. It's something about it that just frustrates me. I mean, yeah, the visuals are great. The visuals are great. But as far as the story goes, there's nothing there. I find it so
it's Dances with Wolves.
What? Oh my god. You did not
God, isn't that what everyone says? I haven't seen that movie, but isn't that what everyone says? That's the same movie?
No.
And James Cameron rips it off or something like that?
I totally see that now. But you should definitely go watch Dances with Wolves.
I haven't seen
excellent. It's
okay.
Excellent.
It's the reason. There's a reason it's the highest grossing movie ever, right? Without inflation.
Is Dances with Wolves?
I think without inflation it is. Or it was.
That's insane.
You have to fact check me on that, but it was for a long. It was like it made more money than the first Avatar, I believe. I watched Aliens. I thought it was painfully mid. I thought it lost all of the juice that the first Alien has. You know, Ridley Scott made this incredible, tight, very tense atmospheric horror film, and Aliens kind of throws that away for the most part. I think the first hour and a half is really just kind of bland. And then when it's just Sigourney Weaver with Newt, like that's when it kind of picks up, when it's more tense and, you know, closed up, and that's when I liked it. So I thought Aliens was pretty mid. I saw Godzilla -1. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Oh, no, but Jagger thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. I don't particularly enjoy kaiju movies. I don't like Pacific Rim. I think that Godzilla 2014 is very boring. I think I haven't seen King of Monsters, so I can't comment on that, but I thought Godzilla with Kong versus Kong was fine. It's kind of boring. Some cool actions. There's some cool scenes. And then this is when I really got into some juice on December. I'm sorry I'm rambling.
No, you're good.
I watched Magnolia, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Hell yeah, W.
Is incredible. I think it's my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Oh, it's so good. Tom Cruise is outstanding.
Oh, he's so good in it. And Paul Thomas Anderson is the person that got me into film. I saw The Master when I think I was, 15. And I was like, holy shit, like film, this is what film can be. Like, this movie is beautiful, the performances are insane, and it's just so well acted.
Yeah.
So I've seen most of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies. I've got a few blind spots there, but I loved Magnolia. It blew me away.
Excellent. It's excellent.
It's a long one, but it didn't bother me. I've watched a lot of long movies this week. I watched The Thin Red Line, Terrence Malick.
Okay.
It's a war film, 1998. Have you seen it?
No, but I know of it, and I've seen bits and pieces.
Have you seen any?
Sat down and watched it all the way through.
Have you seen any Terrence Malick?
No, I haven't seen any Terrence Malick, and I know the Discord has been hot with him recently, so I might start a little watch through.
Yeah, Terrence Malick's interesting because he's a very visual filmmaker. His movies are beautiful. Like, even if you think they're boring, you cannot deny they are absolutely stunning. Like, Tree of Life is amazing. Tree of Life has like literally a 20-minute sequence, and it's pretty much like watching Planet Earth. It's really interesting.
Hell yeah, man. I love Planet Earth.
Thin Red Line's really good. The first 40 minutes-ish is really that Terrence Malick artsy, very visual, showing how beautiful Earth can be, and and then it gets into the war sequences, and it is just stunning. It's so interesting. He contrasts life and death and beauty and horror so well, using war as a like medium for it, because it's not a very gory movie. It's not like Saving Private Ryan or, you know, one of those super bloody war movies. It doesn't do that, but it's, you know, it's still, it's pretty sad and it's got some rough moments, but it contrasts every sad moment with like these beautiful shots of the world, and it just really gets that cool thought in your head of, you know, good versus bad and all this. So I really like Thin Red Line.
Yeah.
And then Oscar from the Discord recommended me Love Exposure. This movie is in the Letterboxd top 250. It is crazy. It is 4 hours long. It's very weird, very over the top, super violent and super horny. It's about this guy who trains with like a bunch of ninjas to become an upskirt photographer. And it kind of just goes on from there. It was really crazy. I thought it was fun. It doesn't feel 4 hours long. I mean, it is long, but it's pretty fun watch, so you don't get bored.
Yeah.
Nearing the end, Grave of the Fireflies, my first Miyazaki, first Studio Ghibli movie.
Whoa, that's a great one to start with.
Yeah, so I watched Suzumi in IMAX earlier this year, and it blew me away because I had not seen any of these, you know, Japanese, you know, any of these animated movies before. It was a big blind spot, and Suzumi blew me away. So, and with Boy the Heron coming out.
Do you watch them subbed or dubbed? Like, will you watch Boy and the Heron in
subbed,
Japanese?
Yeah. No, subbed for sure.
Oh, okay, good.
I hate dub. Sorry, I didn't mean to say dub. Yeah, sorry, sub.
No, it's all good. For your next one, you should watch Princess Mononoke. That's my favorite Ghibli, and it is so good. It's like an action one.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of messages in it about like saving the environment and stuff. It's awesome. It's super good. Yeah. But also Spirited Away, Ponyo, Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind. They're all excellent.
Howl's Moving Castle looks really cool too. I want to check that one out.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big blind spot, and there's so many movies you kind of don't know which one to pick. But I loved Graves of the Fireflies. Broke my heart. Very depressing. Very, very good. It's kind of crazy how good it looks. And I love how a lot of the, you know, stills in that movie are just like, they're just, you know, set pieces that don't move. You know, it's kind of just letting the art portray itself. And, you know, it's like, it just shows how impactful animation can be sometimes, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Grave of the Fireflies was awesome. And it had that contrast of happy and sad again, like Thin Red Line. Really, really powerful.
Yeah.
So that was really great. I watched Saltburn again with my girlfriend. She really liked it. I wasn't sure because it's kind of a crazy movie. I'm at a 4.5 on it. I really don't like the second to last scene because it kind of treats the audience like an idiot and explains everything when you don't really need the explanation because it's not a particularly hard movie to follow.
Yeah.
I think that scene is completely unnecessary. You'll know when you watch it. It's just a weird moment. And then I dove into Wong Kar-wai with Fallen Angels and Chungking Express. I don't know if you've seen these two movies.
No, but Jagger is a huge fan. Chungking Express is his all-time favorite movie.
Awesome. I loved it. Chungking Express is super cool, very stylish. Like Wong Kar-wai is just a master of vibes, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it's just such a cool movie to watch. Like I could throw it on, even though it's not in English. I could throw it on, just vibe. Yeah, it's awesome. The music is amazing. Fallen Angels has amazing color usage. It's really cool. They're very different vibes to me, even though they're kind of connected. They're not like sequels, but they have some interlinking plot points. But both of those are really great. And then yesterday, Oscar from the Discord recommended me Ritual from the guy who made Evangelion. the anime.
Oh yeah,
I believe.
yeah.
This movie blew me away. I cannot recommend it enough. It is so incredible. It's about a guy, and he's a filmmaker, like an amateur filmmaker, and he stumbles upon a woman one day just laying on some train tracks, and he decides he's going to film a 30-day documentary about her. And this woman is complex. Like, she has so many layers to her, and he's trying to figure her out. It's got great messages about mental health and depression, suicide, family troubles. It's amazing. It's really, really good. I'd recommend it a lot.
Yeah, I'll have to check that
And
one
then,
out.
last but not least, Killing of a Sacred Deer. Like, Yorgos
He
Lanthimos is just the fucking goat.
knows
He's the
how to make you
master.
uncomfortable, man.
This, yeah, like, you watch Dogtooth and it's super weird, and it's got these super gross incest scenes, and it's just weird. And then you watch The Lobster, and it's this awkward love story that's got these moments of weirdness. And then I know The Favorite came after, but The Favorite has more uncomfortable scenes, and it's kind of this like awkward. It's nowhere near as weird as the other movies, but The Killing of a Sacred Deer just feels like this culmination of weirdness. Everyone talks like a robot. They don't talk about normal things. And they all act normal when they're talking about this weird shit. It's the camera movements in this movie are incredible. It's got so many scenes where the camera is slowly zooming in. Yeah. And it just makes you feel super tense. The ending is crazy. Barry Keoghan is out of this world in it. That monologue he has at the halfway point where he kind of explains what's going on, it sends chills down my spine every time I watch it. I think I've seen it 5 or 6 times now. I love it so much. Yeah.
Yeah, he's excellent. But for me, I've been watching, let's see, I'm just going to try to do a few here because
sorry, I went for a while. Yeah.
No, dude, you're all good. I'm usually the one that goes for a while because, I mean, you know how many movies I watch.
Yeah, you watch a lot of movies.
It's nice to have someone that also watches a lot of movies and likes talking about all of them. Yeah, so some of the stuff I've been watching recently, Wilding with Liv Tyler, actually pretty solid. Belle Powley was also in it, who is King of Staten Island. A pretty solid like werewolf flick. Struggles tonally in some parts, but overall it was pretty good. Let's see, what else have I watched? Rewatched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, that whole trilogy is just.
Is Dawn your favorite?
Oh, what?
Is Dawn your favorite?
So I haven't. This is like I'm doing a rewatch because I haven't watched them all in a really long time.
Gotcha.
I think Rise might be my favorite.
Okay.
But I remember seeing War in the theater and being like, okay, that's the best one.
Yeah, that's fair. War was
I mean, they're all so damn good.
They really are, and those movies were snubbed horribly. Like, Andy Serkis honestly deserved Best Actor nomination for some of them. He's good. He's so good. And yeah, Matt Reeves just cooked.
Yeah, as he always does. And then I watched The Virgin Suicides for the first time because I've been watching a lot of Sofia Coppola recently.
I want to see that. Is it good?
So a lot of people really, really like it. It just didn't work for me.
I haven't seen any Sofia Coppola.
Wow, really?
Yeah, okay. I really want to watch Lost in Translation. I really want to watch it.
You should start with Lost in Translation. Yeah. That's what I think is her best. Bling Ring is super solid. And I've heard great things about Priscilla. A Very Murray Christmas is also a fun time. But yeah, the Lost in Translation is her best. And I think that's Scarlett Johansson's best too. And then I watched The Conspiracy, which is a horror movie about conspiracy theories and occult, which are two of my favorite subgenres of horror. So that was a freaking blast.
I'm going to have to check that out because I love cult movies too.
Dude, it's the best. I mean, for me at least, it's the best subgenre of horror. like Midsummer. I don't know if you've ever seen The Sacrament, but
I
that
have,
one's
yeah.
really
That
good.
movie's
Oh,
crazy. It's
dude, that
really
movie's
good.
insane.
It's really good, yeah.
And then I watched the sequel to The Strangers, which is like a home invasion movie from
Did
I
you
don't know
like
how
it?
long ago. Yeah, Pray at Night. I actually enjoyed quite a bit. I thought it was solid. You get some solid kills. You you have it at 1.5 stars.
I had a lot of people in the Discord telling me it's really good, and I
Yeah.
watched it. And one of my things with horror movies, unless these horror movies are very self-aware, I have a big issue when the characters are stupid. And I thought the characters in this movie were
Oh yeah, they're
so
so dumb.
dumb. I love the pool scene. The lighting was incredible. That neon
Yeah.
backdrop was awesome.
Yeah.
But the characters were the issue for me in that movie.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I also think that it was trying to do an homage to those old 80s B horror slashers, and I
Right.
think that's kind of a staple of those types of movies is the dumb characters. So, but also I can totally see where that would be a problem for some people. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And then I watched, let's see, go back to my diary. Oh, excuse me. Rewatch Back to the Future 2 because I'm trying to log all of them, even though I've seen them a million times. This might be a hot take. Just as good. It's not just as good as the first. The first one is still better, but this one still a 5-star film in my opinion. I think it's outstanding. It's so fun.
I wish I could comment on this, but I have not seen any of them.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Evan, come on.
Don't even like admitting it.
The first one is probably, I mean, that is a perfect film in every sense of the word. And the second one is also super solid. And the third one is super solid. I mean, they're all pretty fun.
I'll get around to them.
You definitely should. Revisited a Christmas classic for me, Christmas with the Cranks. I talked about this earlier. Tim Allen, Jamie Lee Curtis, Dan Aykroyd as Vic Frohmeyer. Terrifying, but also great. I don't know why, but this movie also makes me cry every time I watch it. Because he gives, I don't know if you've seen it, Evan, but he gives like his cruise tickets to his neighbor, and it's this really sweet moment, and it makes me cry like every time. And
I cry at like every movie, so I understand it.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, I say it, I'm proud of that.
Absolutely.
People are like, I don't cry at movies. I'm like, then how do you feel emotion?
Yeah, absolutely.
I cried during the dumb. I cried during this next one, The Mule, which is
Clint
Eastwood directed one. Yeah, I cried during it. It's a drama crime. It's about an old guy who becomes a drug mule, and I cried during it. That's just what happens. But that was actually super solid, 3.5. You can never expect the acting from Clint Eastwood movies to be great because he is famous for only doing like one take and then calling it good. So the acting is never like top tier, but I mean, it was solid.
He has that other movie. I don't remember what it's called. Richard something. It's like the guy with that finds the bomb, and then everyone is convinced that the guy did it. I gotta pull it up.
Oh, Richard Jewell.
Yeah, have you seen that one? I want to watch it.
No, but
I remember the trailer.
Paul Walter Hauser is in it, and I love Paul Walter Hauser.
Nice.
He was in. I don't know if you watched it, but he was in Cobra Kai, the TV show.
I've seen some of it, but I haven't watched it like.
Oh, he's directly. So funny in it. He's just a funny dude. But then after that, last night, this is the big one I want to talk about. So I watched this film called Relaxer, starring Joshua Burge and David. I can never know how to say his last name. David Dastmalchian.
Yeah.
Nailed it. The guy who's in like every movie
ever,
every movie better. He's an excellent actor. but he's like a classic that guy, like where you see a picture of him and you're like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
But let me read you the synopsis here of Relaxer. Y2K is approaching fast, but Abby can't get off the couch until he beats an unbeatable level on Pac-Man. It is a fantasy comedy, but also a horror. I gave it 5 stars. Here is a good review of it that sums up the movie well without any spoilers. Somehow, simultaneously a gross-out survival comedy, a masculine anxiety chamber drama, in parentheses about how so many broadly accepted norms for male intimacy are defined by competition, dominance, and abuse, in parentheses, and a dilapidated apocalyptic psychic collapse brought on by consumerist ennui. I don't know what that word is. I think this is the first movie textured entirely with hot couch guy detail. All sweaty bare skin on leather, curdled milk, Tony Hawk pro skater pixels, Taco Bell wrapping, dried cherry cola on carpet, and the hum/glow of tube TV stuff.
I'm watching this movie tomorrow. Sounds crazy.
It's so good. Viscerally repulsive and sad. This takes 90s video games slackerdom and channels it through a surrealist nightmare with obvious shades of Buñuel and Cronenberg. It is insane. It's crazy, but it's so good.
That sounds awesome.
And it's only like 90 minutes.
Sweet.
It's so fun. It's so fun. So you should text me when you watch it, because I would love to hear.
Yeah, I will.
I thought it was excellent, and I think it has a lot of like very Lynchian type vibes of like these undertoned themes. And I think there's a lot to break down. So let me know, and I want to talk about it.
Where'd you watch it?
Prime. It's streaming on Prime, but also if you don't have that, it is streaming on Tubi, the world's greatest streaming service. Again, this is the Average Film Enjoyers plead. Tubi, we would love for you to sponsor us.
Tubi is the best.
Tubi
shout out to Queen of the Trap House.
Hell yeah, man. Jeff Profit, baby.
The GOAT.
But yeah, Tubi and Plex, man. I love free streaming services.
Yeah.
It's excellent. But yeah, that's our episode for today. Evan, I want to thank you for coming on and helping.
Yeah, that was super fun, man.
I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, me too. Anytime, man.
Let me give me 1 second. If you guys want to follow Evan on Letterboxd, he writes really funny reviews, and he has the highest 5-star rate out of anyone I've ever met, including like every Barbie movie, apparently.
Yeah, I've seen 15 Barbie movies. They get graded on a different scale.
But he has some great reviews. So guys, if you want to follow him, I'll also put a link in the description. His Letterboxd. Oh, here it is. It is Evan056. Is that an O or a 0?
Oh,
Evan 0567. So go give him a follow. He has some great reviews. I always enjoy reading them. But yeah, thank you for joining us today on the Average Film Enjoyer.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Listeners, if you guys want to find out where you can find more Average Film Enjoyer content, you can follow me, Trey the Film Noob, on TikTok, Twitter, and I think that's it. And Letterboxd. Jagger is Jagger Film Fan on Letterboxd, Jagger Filmers on TikTok and Twitter, and Jagger the Movie Guy on Instagram and Twitch. Check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, comment down below what your thoughts are on Rush, and some stuff you've been watching recently, and any questions you have for me or Jagger. If you're listening on Spotify, please leave us a review. I think we just hit 15 reviews, which is very exciting.